Hello everyone, my name is Renata Wright and my PowerPoint presentation is on email etiquette. What is email etiquette? Email etiquette are general principles or rules about the level of professionalism one should consider and incorporate when engaging in any form of electronic communication. It is also referred to as netiquette. You might say, why is email etiquette important? I will discuss that later on in my PowerPoint presentation. But for those of you who do not know, email etiquette should be considered whether you're emailing, instant messaging, chatting, using social media comments, blogging, or even texting, which most of us do on a daily basis. And you might not even consider that what you're saying may or may not affect someone because you're on one end of the spectrum and they're on the other. Some of the things that I have found during my research were that people provided a list, normally a list of what you should do and you shouldn't do when considering email etiquette. I have taken some of what I thought were the important do's and don'ts and put them in the next few slides. Some of the do's that I discovered were one should respond promptly to someone when they're emailing you. Most people, when they email you or send you an instant message, they probably would like a response anywhere from 24 to 48 hours at the most. Also, remember when composing an email or text message, you should use proper writing guidelines because that way it's universal to everyone who's reading it. You should check your email often to make sure you don't miss any important emails. And when responding to an email, you should try to keep it short and to the point. Always try to proofread before you send because you may send the wrong message if you use the wrong words or the wrong phrases. Also, you should include a subject line in your email. That lets the person who's about to read your email get a general idea of what your email is about. So they will know whether they can read it in private or it can be read in a general area or maybe not even open the email at all. Include a closing. Let the person know with whom you're speaking, who you are, your title, possibly what you do. Include an email, so if they have an email or a phone number, so if they have questions, they can actually call you or possibly email you back. Make sure you remember that your tone within your email is important also. Just because you say something to a person face to face, it may be portrayed differently when you're writing it out or engaging electronically with someone. Some of the don'ts of email etiquette are you shouldn't use capital letters. Most people consider capital letters as screaming or offensive, so you have to consider those capital letters as being portraying the wrong message, and you don't want to come across as being rude or being offensive to someone when you're trying to give them important information. You want to make sure you keep it consistent and only use capital letters when needed. Don't use abbreviations. Not everyone knows what those abbreviations stands for. Nowadays, when people text, the first thing that they think of is the LOLs and TTLY. Until recently, I didn't even know what those meant. I'm showing my age. However, you have to consider that the person on the other end of what you're typing or what you're sending may not be familiar with those abbreviations, so you need to have to explain those to them. So try to avoid them as much as possible. Do not give personal information over emails unless you have permission from the person with whom the information is from, because you can get into a lot of trouble as far as confidentiality and privacy issues. Try to avoid reply all. Reply all means anyone in your email address book or your texting book or address book will receive that email, and you may give out someone's information unknowingly and unwanted. Never forward an email without permission. Someone sends you an email, more than likely it's just for your eyes only, unless they say it's okay to reply to forward it to other people, because you never know how a person may take you forwarding their information. Why is email etiquette important? It's important because we use it on a daily basis. Most people don't pay attention to the fact that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you're communicating with someone electronically, whether it be by phone, by email, by instant messaging, by chatting. And it's important to know what offends somebody and what does not offend someone. It's also important to keep in mind that the way you communicate can be misinterpreted or miscommunicated to someone, basically by not being aware of someone's culture and their background. So you also have to be aware of those things. You can also cause someone embarrassment and also yourself if you're not careful about what you say and how you say it. It can also cause you some legal ramifications if you're not careful about what you say, how you say it, who you forward it to, and who might actually read that email. You have to remember, once it goes out into cyberspace, it's out there. You can delete it on one end, but you can't delete it on the other. So someone may have evidence of something that you sent that you didn't intend to send, and it could cause you some legal problems later on in life. So in closing, the most important thing I would like you to remember when it comes to email etiquette is you have to remember how this message is going to be interpreted from the person on the other end, or maybe someone who accidentally reads it, or you never know. It could be your boss, it could be your pastor, it could be your parent, it could be your child. So you have to be careful about what you put out into the internet world. Incorporate the do's. Try to remember that keeping a message short is important. Try to remember that you should always try to respond in a timely manner to someone. Try to avoid the don'ts if possible. And think of how your email affects someone else, not just yourself. You have to think of them also. Thank you for taking your time out and listening to my message.